The fire has burned down to embers. A mother shifts beneath frozen fur, careful not to wake her children. 3 feet away, wrapped in leather, lies the body of her youngest, dead for 11 days. She has not moved him. She cannot. Outside, the wind sits at -40 degrees, and the ground has frozen into iron. There is nowhere to bury a child here, and no hour safe enough to try. So the family sleeps beside their dead, night after night, waiting for spring to soften the earth. This was not one family's tragedy. This was an ordinary Ice Age winter, the kind that forced decisions extreme enough to leave permanent marks on human bone. Not myth. Not legend. Forensic fact, pulled straight from the skeleton. And once you understand exactly what cold does to a human body, you start to understand exactly what a human being will do to outlive it. Modern humans evolved in Africa, built for shedding heat, not for keeping it. This wasn't just weather. This was a predator, one that stalked for months at a time, and never needed to rest. Drop an unclothed body into a Pleistocene winter, and hypothermia can kill in under 2 hours. During the coldest glacial stages, Eurasian winters plunged past -40, and wind stripped away every scrap of warmth the body built. Snow over a meter deep buried every root, every burrow, every hiding place small animals used to survive. Darkness lasted up to 20 hours a day. Food simply vanished for months at a time. A hunting band needed nearly 6,000 calories just to stay warm and keep moving, and often found almost none. So the real question was never why people starved. It's how anyone survived at all. The answer is still there, waiting, written directly into human bone. In a cave above the Rhone Valley called Mulagursi, archaeologists found the bones of 6 Neanderthals, men, women, even children, butchered with the same precision used on the deer and wild horses found in the same layer. Muscles stripped from bone, ribs peeled apart by hand, skulls cracked open to reach the brain, long bones smashed on stone anvils to drain every last drop of marrow fat. This wasn't an isolated horror. At El Sidron in Spain, 12 Neanderthals, likely a single family, were processed the same way, all at once, within days. At Grandolina, the practice stretches back 800,000 years. The pattern is unmistakable, but it only explains part of the story. Eating the dead helps the strong get through one more week. It doesn't explain how the weak got through the whole winter. The infants, the elderly, the injured. Somehow, they survived too. And that's the harder question. Under a microscope, the truth sharpens. The cut marks on those human bones match the cut marks on reindeer and horse from the very same hearths, same blade angle, same sequence, same discard pattern. This wasn't rage. It wasn't cruelty. It was butchery, applied to a human body the way it was applied to any other source of calories. At a handful of sites, like Gough's Cave in England, the same act carried something stranger. Human skulls carved into cups, shaped with care after the flesh was gone. Desperation and reverence, from the same species, sometimes in the same century. But none of it answers the harder question. A hunter strong enough to butcher a carcass could survive on marrow and desperation. A crippled elder could not. A nursing infant could not. Cannibalism was always the last resort, not the plan. Long before any group reached for a human body, an entirely different, almost industrial survival machine was already running. Here's how it worked. Every joint, every rib, every scrap of skeleton left from a kill was smashed into fragments smaller than 2 centimeters, dropped into water-filled skin bags, and boiled with fire-heated stones. The fat rose in a thick yellow layer and was skimmed off by hand. Pure, concentrated calories, the difference between life and starvation. One rendered bone could buy a family another day it hadn't earned. Nothing was wasted, because nothing could be. When wood ran out on the treeless steppe, they burned the bones themselves. The fat inside caught like candle wax, keeping a flame alive for hours in a world with no trees for hundreds of miles in any direction. This was engineering, born entirely out of desperation. But bone grease and cannibalism only answer half the puzzle. Somehow, through all of this, infants were kept alive. Elders were carried for decades. Families never stopped choosing to stay together. How? This is how. At Upward Sun River in Alaska, archaeologists found 2 infants buried beneath an active hearth, not sealed away, but directly under the spot where the family cooked and worked and lived every single day. At Sungir in Russia, 2 children were buried head-to-head in over 10,000 carved ivory beads, months, maybe years, of collective labor spent on the dead. In caves across Europe, human remains lie beside the bones of wolves kept deliberately close, their body heat borrowed to keep children alive through nights that should have killed them. Early steps toward the modern dog. And in Shanidar Cave, Iraq, a Neanderthal man, blind in one eye, missing an arm, unable to walk unaided, survived into his 40s. Someone fed him for years. Someone carried him. Nothing in it for them but him staying alive. So it wasn't just kindness. Was it the actual difference between a group that lived and one that didn't? It wasn't just kindness. So what was it? Strength? Intelligence? Some rare gene for endurance? Put every clue side by side, and one answer survives all of them, and it isn't any of those. Butchering the dead, rendering bone into grease, burning skeletons for warmth, sleeping beside corpses and wolves alike. Every one of these choices only worked because no one made them alone. A person who ate the last of the fat without sharing it doomed the person beside them. A hunter who abandoned an injured elder lost the one mind that remembered where water and shelter waited in the worst years. Cooperation wasn't a nice idea layered on top of survival. It was the actual technology that kept a slow, fragile, hairless animal alive through 40,000 years of the deadliest winters this planet has ever produced. The body froze. The group did not. And that is the real reason you're still here to hear about it. Every person in this story was genetically and physically us. Not a lesser draft of a human being, the same brain, the same capacity for love, grief, and sacrifice, dropped into circumstances almost none of us could survive. The family sleeping beside their dead son. The elder someone fed for years, for nothing in return. That's not distant history. That's family. The Ice Age didn't end because humans got stronger. It ended because enough small, cooperating bands held on through winters that erased entire populations from the genetic record, leaving only a handful of southern refuges to repopulate an empty continent. We are the descendants of the ones who shared the last of the fat, who carried the blind and the crippled, who kept their dead close because there was nowhere else for them to go. One question is worth sitting with. If that's what it took to survive the cold, what did it take to survive each other? Thanks for watching.